Timberwolves Mavericks, then Warriors Kings. Coverage starts at 7 Eastern on ESPN with NBA Countdown.
Here in North Alabama, barbecue is a part of what makes our home so special, and great barbecue from Lawler's makes it just that much better. Since 1978, Lawler's has been serving up their delicious barbecued pork, ribs, chicken, ham, and turkey for generations of family get-togethers. Recognized as the best barbecue joint in Alabama for 2 years in a row, Lawler's is thrilled to share their award-winning barbecue for your next family meal or catered event. Order online or stop by any one of their 14 area locations. Lawler's Barbecue, cooked slow, served fast.
From the University of Alabama, this is Crimson Tide Today. It's a daily update on Bama sports, and it's brought to you by Conecuh Sausage, a true Southern flavor since 1947, and Conecuh is the official smoked sausage of the Crimson Tide. Order online at ConecuhSausage.com. Hello again, everybody. I'm Roger Hoover. On Thursday's edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, we'll be joined by Alabama linebacker Deontay Lawson. What did it mean to you, the fan reaction, after your announcement that you're coming back to Alabama?
Yeah, that was crazy. You know, I always loved the fan base here at Alabama, and then, you know, after that, I was like, wow, like I didn't think, you know, that many people would be excited, but you know, that just shows you the love this fan base has for the players, and you know, it's truly an honor to be here, and you know, I appreciate the fans like no other, and you know, they show up every week and you know, perform to their best, and you know, we need them too. And, you know, it just gives me a great feeling just to know, I'm appreciated here, and, you know, I appreciate being here.
I'll have more in a moment.
Favorite jeans, favorite shirt. Got Conecuh sausage and I'm firing it up. Yeah, everybody knows it's how I get my grill on. You can smell that flavor up and down the road. It's a little taste of heaven, and everybody knows. That's how I get my grill on. Conecuh sausage. It's just a little taste of heaven.
Join us tomorrow for Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, streaming live at 2 p.m. Central on all CTSN social media platforms at UA_CTSN. Crimson Tide Today is brought to you by Conecuh Sausage. Crimson Tide Today is a production of the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Now, funny how? I mean, funny like I'm a clown, I amuse you?
You're tired. Well, the lunchtime whistle and the morning's finally done. I'm jumping in my car, I'm gonna have a little fun. The Doghouse Network's on my radio dial. Big Dog's taking care of business for a while. If you're listening to another station I don't understand, 'cause nobody does it like Thom Abraham.
Give us a call, Steve.
He's a northern-bred, southern-fed, slick-talking guy. Listeners in his posse are the junkyard dogs. The SEC from Tennessee to calling them hogs. From Gainesville up to Lexington to the Titan Tiger Land. Nobody does it like Thom Abraham.
I guess I'm on here. Am I on? Can somebody respond?
Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody? Mike. What day is it, Mike? Let's guess what today is.
It's hump day.
Woo-hoo!
Oh, yeah, baby. It is hump day in the Doghouse. We are so happy that you are with us today on this hump day in the Doghouse. We got a lot of ground to cover. We have got plenty of room to get you in as well. We've got a new baseball Hall of Fame class, and we are steamrolling towards the conference championship games in the NFL, plus the remaining afterglow of the national championship game. And, you know, one thing I did not get to yesterday, have you heard about what the ACC is talking about doing with their conference title game? ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips said the ACC could consider giving its regular season champion a bye and have the teams that finish second or third in the league, or second and third in the league standings, let them play in the ACC championship game. Well, who's the champion then? The team that won the second and third ACC? I don't understand. I don't get it. I mean, it's an interesting proposition because remember, SMU won the regular season title, and it was beaten by Clemson, who got the bye in the playoff, while SMU had to sweat out even making the show. So what would that do with seeding? Which I don't think is going to matter because I think that's going to change. I think it's even going to change for 2025 for this upcoming season. I think it will change for this upcoming season. I know they say that, well, nothing's going to change until 2026. I don't agree with that. I don't think that's the way it's going to be. I think it could change that part of it. They can just simply say, I mean, how hard is it to say, we're going to seed them based on their rankings. Period, end of story. I mean, it could be that simple. So we'll see if that happens. Phillips also said there's another possibility, and that's having the top 4 teams play on the final weekend of the regular season. First place versus 4th, second versus 3rd, with the winners playing the following weekend in the ACC championship game. Now, this I love. This I love because I have been talking about this for the SEC for 3 years. But in the SEC, what I would like to see, and in the ACC, I'd like to see 4 4-team divisions with the 4 division winners facing off in the final week of the regular season after the rivalry games, which would be played week 11. So this would be week 12. And everyone would eliminate a cupcake game. This would be a 9th conference game. And the other 12 teams in the conference, they would match up in a 9th conference game. I've even made up the divisions already. I'll get to that a little bit later on. We welcome those of you that are watching on WZZN TV, our YouTube channel, and on X as well. You can check that out if you haven't, as well as our listeners on the 97.7 ESPN app and those listening over the air in Winchester, Tennessee, on ESPN Winchester. Lines are open at the 256-5764-97.7 number. You can also text the show, 732-9TA show, 732-982-7469. You're going to want to use that after you hear my idea for the SEC divisions and how it would work. Because you're going to think it's genius. Why am I looking over there? I'm looking at the heater. Why don't I look over here at the camera? Over there. For those of you watching on WZZN TV. My personal X feed is at Thom Abraham Show. The Zone is on X at 97.7 ESPN. And go ahead and throw a follow to ESPN Winchester as well. And speaking of apps, go ahead and grab all these apps. Get the Zone app. Get the Talk Radio WZZN app for more great programming, like last night's girls' high school basketball game. And snag the new ESPN Winchester app as well for all their great content and Tennessee Volunteer action. And make sure that you keep an eye on the socials and the calendar at 97.7ESPN.com so that you know what games are on and where you'll find them. The Zone has the AFC NFC Championship game this weekend, as does ESPN Winchester and the Super Bowl. Those things will all be heard on wherever you're hearing my voice right now. And all your college hoop through March Madness with Alabama on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone, and Tennessee on WCDT. So on the show today, we're heading to the city of brotherly love with Eytan Shander of Radio, TV, and the Odd Shopper online up there to see how Jalen Hurts and the Eagles are going into Sunday's NFC title game. Nick Sirianni is much maligned up there. No one has any respect for Nick Sirianni. But dude is on the verge of doing something that Dick Vermeil and Andy Reid and Doug Peterson could not do, and that's take the Eagles to 2 Super Bowls, and he'd do it with 2 Super Bowls in 3 years. At the top of the 2, David Moulton, Miller and Moulton in the Morning, jumps on with his thoughts on the Natty and the NFL playoffs. He was at the Chiefs-Texans game, so we'll get a preview of Bills and Chiefs for us as well. How about little Ace Austin from Little Spring Garden? 1A school, taking down the mighty Hazel Green ladies last night in front of a packed little gym down there at Spring Garden. Ace is 5'7". She is an Alabama commit. She's a point guard, or maybe she's just a shooting guard. She's probably a point in college at 5'7". She dropped 43 of Spring Garden's 63 points on the Trojans, going off in the fourth quarter after Hazel Green had pulled within a couple. Look, we don't talk a lot of girls' high school basketball on this show, but that was a thing down there. You know what I mean? Ace Austin. Is that a real name? I mean, come on. Is that her real name, Ace? Got to be a nickname, right? I mean, did her mama take one look at her when she was born and they handed her to her in the hospital and mama looked down at her and said, yeah, it looks like an ace to me. I mean, Ace Austin. Her daddy, Ricky Austin, is the head coach of the Spring Garden team. I'm saying she's like 6 years old, knocking down shots, you know, in the church gym or something like that. And they're like, man, she's an ace. Ace Austin. Ace was on Talking Ball this morning with Scott and Drew on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. And you can find that online, 97.7ESPN.com, I believe, if you want to hear it. You check that out. If this freaking phone rings one more time during this show, it must be a new year or something. I'm getting more spam calls than I ever got before. My daily 3 calls from Leaf Filter. Man. In any event. So one writer did not vote for Ichiro for the Hall of Fame. And yet, we have no idea who that is, since the 393 voters are not compelled to make their votes public. About just under 60% of them do make their votes public. Now, at the winter meetings in 2016, the writers who were there voted 80-9 to make all ballots public. But the board of directors of the Hall of Fame rejected that for some reason. I have no idea. Should the dude that left Ichiro off his ballot have to explain himself? It's a free country. I mean, I guess you don't have to vote. You get 10 slots. You can vote for as many as 10 people. Ichiro was on the ballot. This guy didn't think he was one, whoever this is, didn't think he was one of the 10. Now, he might have not even filled out the ballot or sent in a blank ballot. If you don't send in your ballot, it doesn't go against you. You know what I mean? But if you send in a blank ballot, that's considered not being voted for. So 392 of the 393 ballots had Ichiro on them. I mean, was this the same dude that left Derek Jeter off his ballot? Remember, that was Nick Canepa. Or Canepa. Canepa? Actually been on the show years ago. Of the San Diego Union. He admittedly left his 2020 and 2021 ballot blank. Sent in, he didn't not fill it out. He sent it in blank. His 2020 and 2021 blank, ballot. And then later he stated that Jeter was not eligible yet, saying that if he was, he'd be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Nick was on the 2020 ballot. He said that after Jeter was in the Hall of Fame because he wasn't on the 2021 ballot. So he's not even on the ballot. Look at that. He's not even on the ballot. Nick, he was on the 2020 ballot, you knucklehead. He's already in the Hall of Fame. They don't put people, he wasn't on this year's ballot either. They don't generally put people on the ballot that are already in the Hall of Fame. Babe Ruth was not on the ballot this year. Hank Aaron was not on the ballot this year. Yeah, when he is, I'll vote for him. So we got to make these guys accountable, right? Now, some say it doesn't matter. Does it really matter? Does it matter if a guy's unanimous or not? He's a Hall of Famer. Does it matter if he, well, you know what? Mariano Rivera is always introduced as the only unanimous member of the Baseball Hall of Fame. I think it kind of matters a little bit. Now, the flip side of this story, this unanimous thing, until Mariano Rivera, a reliever, was unanimous, and maybe that's why he went in unanimously, because he was a reliever. That's something that didn't hardly even exist. Remember, baseball is 155 years old now. The reliever, the closer position really didn't even exist until 70s, late 70s, 80s. I mean, even in Sparky Lyle used to go 3 innings and close, for the Yankees. This 1-inning reliever job, that really doesn't come into play until relatively, we're talking about like within the last 30 years, 35 years. That wasn't a thing for 100. So maybe that's why. Maybe that's why they can't give a field player, because Hank Aaron wasn't unanimous. Somehow, some way. Those guys weren't even close. Willie Mays, Mickey Mantle, Babe Ruth, Ted Williams. Ballots came in. Those guys were on the ballot, and dudes didn't vote for them for the Hall of Fame. Not one guy, not 3 guys, many guys. Now, they got their 75% they got in, but there would be multiple guys that left them off. Everybody thought that Ken Griffey Jr. was going to be the first unanimous guy. They had cut the list down some of voters, and they thought, you know what, Ken Griffey Jr., really? You're going to put Ken Griffey Jr. on the ballot? Somebody's not going to vote for him? Well, as it turned out, 3 people left Ken Griffey Jr. off their ballot. 3 people. It's nuts. Does it even matter? Should they be held accountable? Should you have to answer for that? Well, you want to react to that? A little midwinter baseball talk? You can fit that in as well. Back in the little glass room with the slanted ceiling. Playing the Platters That Matter and the Stacks of Wax and answering the phones, keeping us on the air. It's the one and the only Jumpin' Joe Hunk.
Do you know who I am?
No, who is this?
Who is this guy?
Who in the blue hell are you?
I'm the producer of this show. If I didn't step up, you're nowhere. I put this thing together out of spit and polish.
I'm very important.
I think this is one of the traits of a really good producer. Keep the talent happy.
I don't like violence, Thom. I'm a businessman.
You want to boo me? Fine.
Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer.
You come at the Kings, you better not miss.
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni.
And show for y'all. Got a damn good show.
I will not wear that gaudy one.
Thom. Hey, Thom.
16 minutes and 30 seconds into the show, Joe. 16 minutes and 30 seconds into the show. And what have you not heard from me?
Your phone going silent.
Well, no. I did that. The problem is that they were watching on the WZZN TV. I have this really, really nice cover on my phone. It has that hole in there, you know what I mean, where you reach in there and you turn the phone on silent. And my big fat fingers can't fit in that little hole. It's tiny. I don't know who designed this thing. Was it made for, a 16-year-old girl or something? So I can't get my finger in there. So I have to remember to take a pen and reach in there and put it on silent that way. No, Joe, that's not what I haven't mentioned. What I haven't mentioned is the fact that it's 30 degrees in the studio. Haven't even notice that? I haven't even mentioned it.
I'm actually impressed with that.
Till now.
Was it the yesterday and being at Baumhauer's and kind of getting to enjoy the warmth that you're like, this is all right?
No.
Okay, just double check.
No, wasn't that? You know what it was, Joe? You know what it is? I want to show you what it is right here. What it is that little baby right there. What you are looking at is you are looking live. No, what you're looking at right there is a space heater on my desk, right on my desk. That little baby right there is doing all of the work right here. My face is like a little bit toasty. I'll be totally honest with you. My face and my hands are a little bit toasty. There are 2 space heaters on the floor that are going, and there is the mini split, which isn't worth a bleep. All it is an air conditioner. I've decided now that that's nothing more than an air conditioner. But this little baby on my desk here is got the whole desk warmed up. I even took this off. I had my
look at that
hat on like you got on. My toboggan, took it off.
Look at that.
Kind of proud of me.
Yeah. No, got you a little, got you a heater. You're in the 2000s. I mean, now you're starting to feel.
On the desk. I never thought So this is the one that was in my barn that is at my workstation where I work on my tackle, in the boat barn. And so I was like, I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do. I mean, it's getting worse and worse out there. What am I going to do? And then I thought, oh my gosh, I have that beautiful heater that's on I'll just go get it out of the barn because I'm sure as heck not going out in that barn.
I'll say you're not doing that. I mean, you're not working on any tackle in the next few days.
Let me tell you something. That barn, because that thing's 1,400. This is just like kind of warm up my hands while I'm working on stuff at my workbench, but it's way too cold out there to do anything. There's 2 bottles of water that are sitting on top of the boat that I just need to throw in the cooler on the boat where I just kind of keep some waters. They're both frozen. That's how cold it is out there. The bottles of water are frozen.
They're acting as an ice pack
in
now.
any event. So they're like an ice pack. So Joe, do you think that these guys should be held accountable? Do you think that the guy who didn't vote for Ichiro should have to come forward?
Oh, 1,000%. No, he absolutely should. I think his vote should be taken away. I mean, because you should be voting for Hall of Famers, regardless of the theory of, we need to make sure that we vote for this guy so that this guy stays on the ballot for next year. No, screw that. You have 10 options. If you cannot choose 10 people to be in the Hall of Fame and one of them be Ichiro Suzuki, you don't deserve a vote. And regardless of him being the first Japanese player to be in it. Like, that's another thing. Like, nobody's even talking about that.
Yeah. I don't know that I check all 10 guys, but I mean, I check Ichiro.
Yeah.
I check CC,
Like, if you believe that, I don't know, Gary Sheffield, I'm just throwing a player out there. I don't even know if he's on the ballot, whatever. Like, if you believe Gary Sheffield should be on the ballot and he needs, one more vote, if you can't vote and actually still have Ichiro on there because you think 10 other guys need your vote, then you don't need to be voting at all. And I mean, that's why I say he's a surefire. He should be a unanimous Hall of Famer in multiple major league teams. And again, Japan and America, because that man is literally like the poster child for baseball around the world. More people recognize Ichiro than any other place.
Do they have a Hall of Fame over there? Do they have like their own Hall of Fame over there?
They do, and I believe he's
not the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I do, and I believe that he is in it as well. Like, he obviously has been out of Japan longer as well. Now the team he plays for is now defunct. Like, they merged with another one because he played for the Oryx Blue Wave, and they're now the Oryx Buffaloes.
So would you put a guy like Shohei? Does he go into Japan Hall of Fame based on what he does in the U.S.? Because he only played like 3 years over there. Or this guy that just came over that's only played a couple of years over there. It's 23 years old. And the guy that said the last one that signed with the Dodgers. Do you put guys like that are of Japanese descent? Do you think that the Nippon Hall of Fame, do they put those guys in based on what they did in Japan, or do they do it based on what they did in America?
So, interestingly enough, he is actually going into the Japanese Hall of Fame, Baseball Hall of Fame this year. So he's going into both.
So they have the same rule. They have the 5-year rule.
Yeah, it's the same year because I just looked it up because it doesn't say how much of the vote he got for the Japanese Baseball Hall of Fame, but this year he is also going into both. So, I mean, I would assume that it's based on what you did in Japan. I don't know if they have like kind of like with us. Like, I don't think that there's Americans that went over to play Japan and we're going to put them in the Major League or the Baseball Hall of Fame because of what they did in Japan. So I assume it's just for what you did in the MLB.
Do you think it matters being unanimous? Does it really matter?
About what league you play in?
No. I mean, do you think it matters if you're unanimous or not?
Oh, absolutely. No, it absolutely matters.
I think it's a thing.
Well, I think it's a thing now because for decades it was nobody was worthy of it, and the more and more you look at it and you hear Mariano Rivera, which again, the GOAT of closers, absolutely, but
it's a different job.
It is a different job.
Could you piece of your fiber that says, look, Derek Jeter, Ichiro Suzuki, Ken Griffey Jr., these guys were all great generational players, but they were not better than Ted Williams and Mickey Mantle and Joe DiMaggio and Babe Ruth and Hank Aaron and Willie Mays. They weren't better than those guys. So why should they be unanimous if those guys weren't unanimous? Does that in any way, shape, or form negate being able to make those guys unanimous because those other dudes were not?
No, I don't think you should be judging it based on what happens in the 40s and 50s. You should be judging each player based on whose names are on the ballot.
Yeah.
Like that's what it shouldn't be.
So
like I'm not.
People were idiots. Those voters were idiots. That doesn't mean we have to be an idiot because those voters were idiots.
Like I'm not sitting here, and again, you brought up Hank Aaron. Well, there was still part of the reason why Hank Aaron wasn't a unanimous vote was because the color of his skin. Like there's still that kind of thing.
What about Babe Ruth, Ted Williams, and Joe DiMaggio?
And it was with Babe Ruth, there were probably still people that's like, look, I was around him on those trains, and I saw all the things he did and how horrible of a human being he was. I'm not going to vote for him. Like there are those people. Like, but
Ted Williams was a jerk to the writers.
Yeah,
and that's why a lot of guys didn't vote for him because he was such a jerk to the writers, which is absolutely ridiculous. But that's the way it was,
and that's why it should be about what you did between those white lines, not what you did with other white lines or what you did with after behind the white lines. I'm saying what you did on the field, and with Ichiro again, and we talked about it on the Blitz. It was a choice for him to be the kind of baseball player that he was, because he could have been a pitcher. He could have been the greatest shortstop he ever wanted to be. He could have been a home run hitter if he wanted to be. He literally made the choice to be what he was, and he was one of the greatest of all time, if not the greatest at doing so.
Ted Williams got 93% of the vote, and he was when he was voted in, he was only the 8th person to be voted. It was 1966. He was only the 8th person ever to go in on the first ballot. They didn't even put guys in on the first ballot back then. It was like a rarity to go in on the first ballot, and you got 93% of the vote. So there you go with that. All right, we got to get a break in here. Coming up, Eytan Shander will join us. We're talking NFC Championship game. Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni. What's the thought? What's the feeling as the Eagles prepare as a 5.5-point favorite to take on the Washington Commanders in the NFC Championship game? Obviously, a berth in the Super Bowl is on the line. We'll get to that right after this. Hump Day in the Doghouse. Back with more in a moment.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
Orthopedics. You're thinking bones, muscles, and joints, right? Well, what else comes to mind? Maybe your spine, therapy, or an arm cast? What about sports medicine? What do you think about when you hear that? Are you thinking about the largest orthopedic group in the state, caring for the most student athletes in North Alabama? Or about the fact that they are teamed up with the state's largest hospital-based sports medicine program to provide care to more schools in North Alabama than any other group? If you are, you have TOC Sports and Huntsville Hospital Sports Center on the brain. If you're not, you should, because Huntsville Hospital Sports Center and TOC Sports have partnered for more than 2 decades to establish a state-of-the-art team of certified athletic trainers and orthopedic specialists who successfully continue to meet and exceed the sports medicine needs of schools, athletes, coaches, and parents in our community. Committing to kids, committing to community, committing to care. That's Huntsville Hospital Sports Center and TOC Sports.
The company is Eagle Masonry and Insulation, but did you know they're also Eagle Landscaping and Dirt Work? Eagle can take care of all your landscaping needs, including irrigation, sod work, and planting, both plants and trees. On the dirt work side, Eagle can grade and build your pads, haul dirt in or out, and even do erosion control. Philip Love and his team can do it all for you. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Have you ever turned your back on God? Have you ever absolutely known the right thing to do and just turned around and walked away in disobedience? I know that I have. Aren't we thankful for our great and merciful God who loves us and forgives us and remembers our sin no more? I'm so thankful that His mercies are fresh every day. I need that, and I suspect you do too. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of Cross Point Church, and if you're looking for a church home, come see us. We're smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison, and check us out at cpcfamily.org.
Are you tired of power outages disrupting your life? It's
time for a Generac standby generator from Current Electrical. Storms may rage outside, but inside your family's powered up. So why choose Current Electrical for your generator needs? 1, we offer a wide range of models to suit every budgeted energy requirement. 2, our project managers handle every step of the process: power, gas, permitting, and inspections. 3, our certified technicians install your generator with precision, ensuring peace of mind. Don't wait for the next blackout. Call 256-880-1880 or visit us online at GenSuperstore.com.
On the road again. Just can't wait to get on the road again.
And welcome back, Thom Abraham Show. And now an opportunity to talk to a guy. I call him a doghouse disciple. He's one of my boys from back in the day and is doing a great job now up in Philadelphia. That's where he was originally from. We hooked up in Nashville for several years, and then he went back to Philly. Does a great job with the Odd Shopper there. He's on TV, radio, all kinds of stuff in Philadelphia. And whenever I need to talk about anything Philadelphia, my go-to guy is Eytan Shander. He joins us now in the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. I want to say Rocky because that's what we called him because he was from Philly. But hey, Thom, welcome back, man. How are you? Yeah, it's been a minute.
It's been a long time. It feels like another life since I've been called that, my friend. It's still a great story that I tell to people, especially here in Philadelphia, because nicknames come up, and I'm always curious about the origins of nicknames, and I'll get that every now and again. Like, somebody just couldn't pronounce my name, so they had to call me something, and always going to be back in the southeast corridor. I do miss it, especially when it's freezing up here in Philly.
It's 20 degrees right now. Okay, so I don't want to hear about it.
Look,
it's 20 degrees, and my studio is not insulated, so I'm over here like the Nook of the North right now. I'm all bundled up.
It's 7 degrees here.
7?
I feel like, yes. All right, so we're in single digits, and as you know, right, the gap between like 45 and 40 is very like narrow.
Yeah.
But when you start to get below freezing, like 20, and let's be honest, you're in Tennessee, like Bama, like that 20, which you probably have sun. There's probably not a ton of wind. This is dark. This is like, that movie where it's dark, right, for like 40 days up in Alaska. That's what we're dealing with here in Philadelphia.
Yeah, no, I hear. They had like 10 inches of snow down on the Gulf Coast. That would be the Gulf of America. The Gulf of America. They had down in Mobile, down in that neck of the woods. They had like 10 inches of snow, and nobody knows what's going on. But I'm looking for that global warming thing to start happening. That's what I'm looking for. Bring me a little of that. Eytan Shander with us here. All right, let's talk about the first thing. First things first, Nick Sirianni. I mean, this guy, he takes a lot of heat. Of course, everybody takes heat. It's Philadelphia. That's what they do. But here's an Italian, a big Italian population, of course, in Philadelphia. It takes a lot of heat. He is on the precipice of doing something, though, that Dick Vermeil, Andy Reid, Doug Peterson, none of those guys ever went to the Super Bowl twice. He could go to the Super Bowl twice. I mean, is there any love for that dude there? I mean, did they embraced him yet at all, or is he still an idiot?
No, here's the thing. If he just keeps quiet and the Sirianni truthers just keep quiet, it's just easy to enjoy the game and understand that he is there as a main facilitator of culture. Like, that's what he's there. It's not his culture, right? It's a culture that Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie have instilled and executed now for a while. And every now and again, you got somebody new coming in being like, okay, well, I want to do my own thing. And even after Doug Peterson won a Super Bowl, it got to a point where it came to a head and Doug wanted to do his stuff. But I think that's also why it's good to shine a light on what happened with Doug and what's happened with Doug ever since. And that's Peterson and Sirianni now are propped up by two things. One is an absolute culture machine. The Eagles are an established football team. They've been to more NFC championships than anybody since 2001, and that's not on purpose, or that's not by accident. The other part of it is this year's lineup and roster is so incredibly talented that somebody there to just keep things status quo is going to look elevated even more so. So I'm not ripping him. I'm not tearing him down. But what I'm doing is I'm coming at him from a neutral standpoint, which is Sirianni doesn't call the offense. Sirianni doesn't call the defense. He doesn't game plan either. He's not there adjusting mid-game to either. In fact, he's not even stepping in when something is going awry or wrong, as we saw with Kellen Moore this past weekend before things picked up with Barkley. What they're doing on offense is pretty simple. They've got 5 of the largest men in the NFL up front, and they've got the best running back we've seen since arguably, I don't know, Emmitt Smith, Barry Sanders, maybe even Eric Dickerson in Saquon Barkley. So this is like a humongous shot in the arm to anybody who is coaching a football team. And Sirianni's day-to-day is go in there, be their best friend, and keep these guys focused. And I think as difficult as it may appear on the outside, Tom, in Philadelphia media, the reality is that Sirianni's job is middle management. He is not Dick Vermeil. He is not Andy Reid. This is not Bill Belichick with massive control over an organization. I'd argue that if Sirianni were not there and it was just Moore doing his thing and Fangio doing his thing and Mike Clay running the special teams, there wouldn't be that much dip because guys are still just focused on their other thing. But let me end with this. The players love him. The general manager loves him. The guys who show up to work and have to do their jobs on the field, which is not me, absolutely love this guy. So there's the value. The value is love him. But I'll add this one because I know I'm going on a long tangent here. We saw proof positive, a defensive line coach, not a coordinator, a defensive line coach on the field and down there next to Sirianni, got in Sirianni's face and told him to cool off when he was yelling at Jalen Carter after a penalty. That doesn't happen with Dick Vermeil. That doesn't happen with Andy Reid. It sure as hell doesn't happen with Bill Belichick.
Yeah, we can't take this all away from the guy, though. I mean, there's still it seems like anymore in the NFL.
Does it sound like I'm trying to?
Yeah,
I don't
you
want
just
to
don't.
either.
You just said that even if the guy wasn't even there, it was like if he stayed in the locker room. You know, they would be fine.
him to Dick Vermeil.
Well, he's going to go to the Super Bowl twice. None of those guys did that. He's taking it. Look, there are a lot of teams that got a lot of talent that don't perform. I mean, you know, NFL athletes, that whole part of being a facilitator, you know who he sounds like to me a little bit? I mean, now I'm not going to go nuts here on this. I'm not, putting him in a Hall of Fame or anything, but I'm going to tell you right now, sounds a little bit like an Italian version of Mike Tomlin. I mean, Tomlin wasn't a coordinator. Tomlin doesn't do all that. Tomlin's not calling the offense. He walks around with his hands in his pockets all the time. But he's the player's coach. He's the leader of the whole scenario. And something must be right there for them to do, what they're doing. I mean, we're going to give the guy a little bit of credit. I mean, it's not like he's just bringing the cannolis to the staff meeting and throwing them out of the
The people that respond to what does he do say, oh, well, the players love him, and they give you these long-winded Sal Pal, no offense to him, long-winded answers that don't have any substance to it. And it's just like, well, maybe he is just bringing in the cannolis. But you know what? If everybody loves cannolis and Jalen Hurts' favorite food is cannolis, and he gets up every day knowing that the coach is going to bring in a box of cannolis, I don't care. But where I push back is people who are trying to equate him, and maybe record number. Win-loss is about as much of a head coach stat as it is for starting pitchers, right? So I look at the fact that Nick Sirianni is part of a machine, and Nick Sirianni is there to facilitate the machine. But he's not even – and look, come on. Mike Tomlin was absolutely hands-on with the defense for a while before things kind of moved away from it, maybe to a fault, I would agree. But he's also overcome some of the worst coordinators that we've seen, from Matt Canada to the latest bozo that they pulled out of Atlanta, right? So I think when you look at Sirianni, what happened when he didn't have good coordinators? What happened when he did not have Vic Fangio, Hall of Fame defensive coordinator, or Kellen Moore, a proven offensive mind in the NFL? Last year, not this year, but last year, everything went to you-know-what because Sirianni had to coach, because Sirianni had to coordinate. And guess what? I don't think he can do either. I think he's great for this football team. I wouldn't change him or fire him at all because the players and GM love him, but it's not about – and remember, I didn't lead with this. You did.
I know.
I think it's more about a response. It's just more about a response to the Sirianni narrative more than anything else.
Eytan Shander joining us from Philadelphia as we get ready for
Look at that. Look at that reset, man. It didn't sound like I just ran over your foot.
So get ready for Eagles and Commanders / Redskins in the NFC title game. All right, so the narrative is in terms of the game itself. Well, the Eagles have better wide receivers. The Eagles have better running back. The Eagles have better offensive line. They have better defensive line, better defensive back. The only area where the Commanders are better is at quarterback. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute now. We're going to push back a little bit on that there for our boy Jalen Hurts here. It's not like the guy's chopped liver. Is it like the whole team is carrying Jalen Hurts, who had a 70-yard touchdown run, whatever it was, 40-yard touchdown run in the game last week? I mean, Hurts doesn't suck. I mean, we're going to put Jalen Daniels. And Daniels is nice. There's no not. He's very, very nice. Makes a lot of plays. But let's just, Jalen Hurts. I'm good with Jalen Hurts right now a little bit. I don't think the difference at quarterback is that great.
No, I mean, look, Jalen Hurts is a fantastic postseason quarterback because he doesn't take risks. Now, you can look at that and say, well, how are you going to win football games if you don't take risks? This year, I think, is even better illustrated by just the fact that he doesn't have to take as much with what they have with Barkley and the offensive line. Jaden Daniels is a rookie quarterback who is trying to make his way in the NFL and has a tremendous amount of ability to both see the field with his arm and his feet. And I think rookies in the NFL postseason, especially on the road, just have to get it done and find ways to make plays. And that's what you've seen so far. The difference that I think, though, with Hurts is that this is every time you see Jalen Hurts play, drop back, there is a coach, and there is just evidence of how well he's coached. And it infuriates people because, all right, he just took a 7-yard sack, but he didn't make a bad throw and throw a pick. And I think he's worked on that, and that has been a really tangible improvement, if you will, Tom, in his game, which is he's not forcing throws. Now, he may miss a guy, right? He may miss a guy in his third or maybe fourth progression, but he's not forcing that throw, and he's not turning the football over when it matters most. That's where I look at and say mentally and just managing a football game. And I know that phrase has gotten a negative connotation, unfortunately, and that's just a bad thing. But Jalen Hurts is, from a positive standpoint, one of the best managers of a football game. He audibled twice to Saquon Barkley on those two big runs. This is not a guy. This is not Trent Dilfer, man. Right. This is a guy who can do a lot with his arm, his legs, but he's also smart. And I'll tell you this, because I know a lot of you down there just have this same love and just support that we do. A lot of us do have up here for Jalen. But there's something about Jalen Hurts where he's unselfish. And I think there's so little hero ball in Jalen Hurts. Yeah. There's hero ball in Lamar Jackson, man. There's hero ball in Josh Allen. These guys can kill you and then have to dig you out of a hole themselves. Andrew Luck was famous for that, right? Like this amazing comeback from Luck in the fourth quarter. Yeah, because the guy threw 2 picks and fumbled in the first half. Jalen Hurts doesn't do that nearly as much, at least anymore in the playoffs. And that's where I think he separates himself from Daniels and really a lot of other players, including QBs that are still here. May not win the Super Bowl because you got Mahomes and Josh Allen on the other side, but Hurts has done some great stuff, man.
Yeah, I mean, and you're talking about a kid, we saw that from the time he was 19 years old. This kid gets benched during a national championship game and does nothing but support Tua Tagovailoa in the second half of that game, and then sits the entire next season in a support role after winning 26 out of 28 games. And then when Tagovailoa goes down in the SEC championship game, Hurts goes in there and wins the game. I mean, they're down to Georgia. He scores 2 touchdowns and wins the game. So, that's the character of him. He's coach's son. That's the character of that guy, for his entire career. So it doesn't surprise me what you say about his leadership ability. I'm a little bit nervous about that knee because of the fact that his legs are so important. I just hope he's right because I want the best of Jalen Hurts in this game. Because I do not want those hideous Commanders uniforms in the Super Bowl. If I got to watch another Commander game, I mean, if they were the Redskins, maybe I'd be like, okay, but this Commander stuff is a problem. Eytan Shander with us here. Now, just to go to the other side, let's assume a Eagles win in this game. It seems counterintuitive. We're hearing a lot about chief fatigue. But they could also be on the precipice of making history. I mean, 3 straight Super Bowls, never been done, 59 years of Super Bowls. So they have that. But apparently nobody wants to see that attempt happen. Having said that, it seems counterintuitive to say this, but I think if I'm Eagle fan, I think I'd rather see the Chiefs than the Bills. Does that make any sense at all? I mean, when Eagle fan has this game won and they know they're going to the Super Bowl and they're looking through their bleary, bloodshot, beer-shot eyes and they're watching that late game, are they pulling for the Chiefs or the Bills?
Well, as somebody who has a 16-1 Eagles-Bills exact matchup in the Super Bowl, I can tell you who I'm rooting for. I'll say this. And I mean, I also have a 17-1 Eagles and 14-1 Eagles winner, so I'm pulling for my own squad here. But look, I think if you wanted to take it from a narrative, which is also now conspiracy, right? Like everybody last year was looking at the Taylor Swift stuff and thinking, okay, well, the NFL benefits most from having Taylor Swift at the Super Bowl than anything else. That's 1 year, and I was willing to entertain that conspiracy theory. And then you look at the fact that their offensive line hasn't had one holding penalty in 3 straight Super Bowls, and the penalty differential each time, especially as you get deeper into the postseason. And all right, maybe there is something behind the fact that the NFL really, really wanted Taylor Swift to be somewhat incorporated into the Super Bowl, at least the run for the Super Bowl. Now, this year, what I think you have is 2 things. 1, Josh Allen won't win the MVP. And 2, there is way more, and you can appreciate this as a curator of drama, and I don't say that as a negative. I say that you build radio shows and you build compelling talking points. There may not be a more compelling talking point in sports as a whole, Tom, than dynasty lost, what happens now. Look at when the Patriots lost in the Super Bowl or in the right. The Patriots didn't make the playoffs. You go back and look at all of the columns, and you go back and look, right, when they won 11 games and they missed the postseason and Brady was hurt, right? Like all of these things. I don't think there is anything more compelling than the Kansas City Chiefs losing to Buffalo, Josh Allen in the Super Bowl, who'll probably beat the Eagles, right? Getting a, okay, pat on the back. You didn't win the MVP, but here's your compensation, if you will. And then ultimately it's the fact that we now have months of either listening to people like yourself and others on radio and TV or creating conversations at the bus stop, the water cooler, or the barbershop about, well, what happens now? Mahomes, Chiefs, what do they do? That's where I think this postseason goes, and the Bills beat the Eagles in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, well, and I'll go old school on you, too. The last team to win 3 straight championships, it's not 3 straight Super Bowls. It was the Green Bay Packers who won the NFL championship and then turned around and won the first 2 Super Bowls. So they had won 3 straight NFL championships, and then following that, they missed the playoffs, just like the Patriots. So, that is, there was a lot to that as well. Eytan Shander has been our guest. Rocky, it's always good to catch up with you, my friend. Don't be such a hater on Sirianni, and the dude's going to do what Dick Vermeil and Andy Reid and those guys never did. He's going to go to two Super Bowls in 3 years. I mean, so, we got to give him credit for that. They'll be building a statue to him, right? If they win the game, you got to put a statue out in front. Nick Sirianni statue out in front of that stadium.
Not unless Tanner McKee throws a pass to himself. That's it. That's the only way that's happening.
All right, my friend. Good to catch up. All right, man. See you. That's Eytan Shander. We'll do it again with him before the Super Bowl if the Eagles make it to the Super Bowl. All right, let's get the final break in here and of this hour, and then we'll come back and set you up for the top of hour number 2 next. It's the Thom Abraham Show. More in a moment.
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show with Joe Hunk on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
For a limited time, GBank is offering a $250 bonus when you open a GBank Visa signature card. Apply today at vsin.com/GBank.
Championship Sunday of the National Football League. The Kansas City Chiefs, a 1.5 favorite over the Buffalo Bills at Arrowhead Stadium. Travis Kelce has at least 1 touchdown in 9 of the last 11 playoff games for Kansas City. You can bet Kelce's anytime touchdown prop bet at plus 125. In the NFC, Philadelphia laying 6 against the Washington Commanders. 47.5 the total at Lincoln Financial Field, where the Eagles have won 9 straight games. College basketball yesterday, Alabama blows out Vanderbilt 103-87 to the Coleman Coliseum. The Crimson Tide cover is 12-point home favorite. For more, go to VSIN.com. Mike Sennett, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Tom Luganville here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
A wise man once said, if you take care of old folks and children, everything in the middle will take care of itself.
Hi, I'm Danny Aldridge, lawyer in Alabama and Tennessee. In the next 20 years, the number of those folks over 65 years of age will more than double. In our golden years, the most important goal is to be treated with dignity and have control over doing what makes you grateful with those you love. At the Aldridge Law Firm and the Legal Town Center, we're dedicated to help you with these goals, and we'll be there when life throws you those inevitable curveballs. Let us assist you with your legal needs, whatever they may be or become. You may reach us by phone at 256-534-3188 or online with Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Just remember, we're here to help. Whether it's personal injury, wrongful death, fraud and cheat, or estate planning made complete, we're here to help.
It all comes back to money.
Visit our store right now at zonedeals.bigdealsmedia.net to take advantage of all the best deals in the Tennessee Valley. Or just go to our website, 977ESPN.com, and click on the Zone Deals logo to start saving right now.
Now, as to the price.
These deals won't last long, so get yours now. Zone Deals. You'll thank us later.
A man who could easily afford to buy a vowel.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. Mostly clear sky expected for this Wednesday night. Temperatures fall below freezing once again. It looks like we'll see lows reach the lower 20s for the overnight. Heading into our Thursday, expect to see partly sunshine. High temperatures warming into the lower 40s for the afternoon. Rain looks to return back to the forecast heading into Sunday. I'm Fox 54 meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
The best in local sports talk from the 256. We are local.
When you're number one, you don't have to worry.
We are award-winning. Thank you for listening. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You'll be set for life.
Facebook can hit us with their little disclaimer thing if it's just like instrumental. You know what I mean? Could they still hit us with that thing? That little disclaimer thing? What if we use that violin version of the instrumental from Freebird?
I mean, we've been hit with so many of those over the last week anyway. At this point in time, I'm just like, do whatever you want. We're tired of seeing these things.
It's like every week. And the thing is, we pay to use bump music. You know what I mean? We pay, ASCAP and these other people to use bump music, and you're supposed to be able to use up to 45 seconds. I don't know why they're breaking our stones about that, but they do. Anyway, this segment of the show and the Freebird Bump is brought to you by Woody Anderson Ford's award-winning service department, which is there for your routine checkups to keep your Ford or other brand in perfect working order. But also, if you have a bigger problem, they can take care of that as well. They got expert service technicians. They're going to quick diagnose it. They're going to use state-of-the-art tools to get it resolved. So whether it's preventative maintenance or major things like tranny work or brake work or things like that, they can get it all done for you at Woody Anderson Ford. Don't forget, they got the convenient mobile service as well, where they'll come out to you, do something like an oil change or a tire rotation or a parts replacement like windshield wipers or lights, things like that. And then there's the Quick Lane Service Department, your one-stop shop for brake work, tire work, battery work, weekends, and into the evening as well. So no matter what service your Ford needs, Woody Anderson Ford ensures quick, professional, and exceptional service. Learn more at WoodyAndersonFord.com. That's WoodyAndersonFord.com. All right, phone lines are open. If you want to jump on board, you can do that now. This is a good time to do it. 256-5764. 97.7 will get you into the show. Coming up at the top of the hour, David Moulton will join us for his segment. We'll take a look at the AFC Championship game and do some college stuff with him as well. By the way, speaking of college basketball, which we haven't really spoke of, last night, of course, Alabama blowing Vanderbilt out of the gym. Another 100-point game for the Tide, 103 points for Alabama as they win that game going away. Tennessee with a nice bounce-back win after their loss to Vandy. They beat number 14 Mississippi State 68-56 yesterday as well. Missouri, by the way, went down to Texas. Missouri was number 22. Texas beats them 61-53. Just some superlatives from outside the league, from the non-conference schedule. This was pretty stunning. The SEC so far this year. Now the next time, there is a few more non-conference games before the big dance. The SEC's 59-19. 59-19 against Power 4 conference teams. I mean, forget about the fact that the SEC is 88.9%, 185 wins and 23 wins in their 23 losses in their non-conference this season, which is the best record since the ACC in 2003-4, 20 years ago, went 75-10. Forget about that. Just in games against the Power 4, the SEC's 59-19 this basketball season. And even more stunning, what the heck has happened to the ACC? The SEC is 30-4 against the ACC. 30-4. 14-2 against the Big 12. 5-4 against the Big East. 10-9 against the Big 10. Joe, it wasn't that long ago where Tobacco Road, college basketball began and ended with Tobacco Road. It was the ACC and everybody else. I mean, you had, you know what I mean? It's all about Duke and North Carolina. And for a while, obviously Syracuse, Virginia just won a national championship. I mean, it was all about them. What the heck has happened to ACC basketball?
Well, and also what you're saying is that now that Dick Vitale is coming back to college basketball because he's cancer-free, so instead of him being there for Duke, North Carolina, he should actually be starting to show up for Alabama, Auburn.
Exactly. Alabama, Auburn's got a lot more juice than Duke, North Carolina, even though it's Duke, North Carolina. And the only reason I throw it out there, and I don't think I shudder to say it, this couldn't happen I mean, ACC basketball was like SEC football. I mean, this couldn't happen to SEC football, right? I mean, let's not go there. All right, David Moulton, Miller and Moulton in the Morning is coming up next right here in the Thom Abraham Show.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold-certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
The state's largest orthopedic group is growing to meet the needs of the patients in our community. The Orthopedic Center has long been the most trusted name in orthopedics in North Alabama. So as our area continues on the fast track, so does the need for premier orthopedic care anywhere and anytime you need it. TOC is proud to announce the opening of our new locations in Albertville and Hampton Cove, along with the grand opening of our newest office in Decatur. These clinics will offer the same high-quality orthopedic care you have come to associate with TOC, with the convenience of being closer to home. As a patient, your time is your most precious asset, and we recognize that at TOC. That's why we are also proud to announce the opening of our urgent ortho clinics to handle those bumps and bruises that need prompt attention. These clinics are available to care for acute orthopedic injuries with no appointment necessary. With 38 physicians, 20 centers of excellence, and now more than a dozen locations to serve you, TOC will continue to be the name you turn to for the best orthopedic care at the right time. Visit our website at visittoc.com for more information. TOC, helping you live a better life.
This is Steve Moulton from 97.7 ESPN The Zone with my friend Brandon Pilcher from Pilcher's Appraisals. Brandon, what exactly do you do?
Steve, I'm an appraiser. I can value a property for you if you're potentially going to sell, and that valuation could also be used to help you with your property taxes.
Thanks, Brandon. Brandon is licensed in Tennessee, Alabama, and Georgia. You can contact him at 706-936-3766. Call or text.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. It's just in from ESPN's Adam Schefter. Buccaneers offensive coordinator Liam Cohen taking himself out of the running for the Jaguars head coaching job to stay in Tampa Bay, returning to the Bucs on a new contract that will make him one of the NFL's highest paid coordinators. This season under Cohen, Tampa had the third-ranked total offense in the league, was fourth in points scored, and quarterback Baker Mayfield enjoyed his best career season. Also from Schefter, 9-time Pro Bowl pass rusher Khalil Mack will play in the 2025 season. The 33-year-old is set to be an unrestricted free agent for the first time in his 11-year career. Mack did say earlier this month if he decided to continue playing, he believed his best chance to win was with the Chargers. Tonight's NBA doubleheader, Timberwolves Mavericks, then Warriors Kings. Coverage starts at 7 Eastern on ESPN with NBA Countdown.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
In the Army National Guard, soldiers serve part-time and close to home.
My community means everything to me. It helps shape me into who I am today, and is where I choose to raise my own family. That's why I joined the Army National Guard. I'm proud of where I'm from, and as a soldier, I get to give back to the people that helped me succeed. The education benefits I got from serving helped me get my degree and jumpstart my career. The training and leadership skills I've gained from the Army National Guard help me every day when I teach young people, help my neighbors, and look out for my community. I know that when my neighbors need us the most, my fellow soldiers and I will be ready. My family loves it here, and my part-time service means we get to stay here.
Serve part-time in the community you live in as a proud member of the Army National Guard. Talk to your local recruiter or visit NationalGuard.com. Sponsored by the Alabama Army National Guard. Aired by the Alabama Broadcasters Association and this station.
I want to thank you. Thank you for making us your #1 choice for sports talk in North Alabama.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You need to be more like a dog.
Like what you guys are doing. You've got your fingertip on the pulse of your listeners. You guys know what they're talking about.
Be a dog.
God bless the show. You are the Messiah.
We need more dogs.
This is the best show on radio.
The big dog, Thom Abraham, is here with you.
Hey, I see you. I see you, dog.
So settle in and get your bark on.
That's my dog.
Now live. Here he is, the big dog.
Let's go, baby!
Thom Abraham.
How you doing? 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 How you doing?
Look, I don't speak Spanish.
I don't know how to say this, so I'm going to choose my words very carefully. I think you're a psycho.
Do you know who I am?
I mean, that guy sounds like Elle McPherson farting into Miles Davis' trumpet.
I guess I'm on here. Am I on? Can somebody respond? Get off my lawn.
I have to drag my Yankee ass out of here. And welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Thom Abraham Show. This segment of the show is brought to you by the Orthopedic Center, taking care of folks all around the Tennessee Valley with their 13 locations. And they've been doing this for years now. Thousands of area residents have received world-class care from the Valley's most trusted and experienced group of orthopedic surgeons and medical specialists. If you have a medical problem or orthopedic problem and are considering professional care, TOC is really the only logical choice. Whether you had a work-related injury or got sidelined playing a sport you love, you need the best care, the best physicians, and the best facility to get you back in the game. And I think you'll agree that that's the Orthopedic Center. Stay in the game with TOC. Joined now by our friend David Moulton from Miller and Moulton in the Morning on Talk Radio WZZN, and also traveling with the crew for the Monday Night Football, and was in Kansas City for the Kansas City Chiefs and the Houston Texans this past week. Is David Moulton from the road somewhere in Georgia, I think. David, where are you?
I am 120 miles south of Macon on I-75 North, trying to get to West Georgia University, which is in Carrollton, about 40 miles west of Atlanta. And I'm being told that the roads are not going to allow me to get there today and tonight.
What? What's going on down there? I mean, it's clear and sunny here. I mean, it's cold. It's 25 degrees, but it's clear and sunny up here.
Yeah, Georgia got hit with a few inches of snow and some ice. And so, you know, right now the roads, everything's melting because it's above freezing and the sun's out. But, I mean, the team bus pulled over about 3 hours from the university, and they're calling it a day. Okay, so I'm going to meet up with the team in an hour or so. And so this is going to be one of those road trips, Tom, that every sports team has been a part of, where you're, you know, weather basketball for a long time. They tried a 4-hour bus ride the day of the game. The bus broke down. They actually showed up 40 minutes late for the game, and the opposing AD had started the clock, the warm-up clock, and told FGCU, when it hits 00, if you're not on the court, it's a forfeit. All right? And then started the game with 4 guys. Okay? Yeah. Because that's who was dressed.
Gosh. That's crazy. So when is this game that you're doing?
It is tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. It's an A-Sun game. It's Jacksonville and West Georgia, and I know you're familiar with that with North Alabama and all that. So it's an A-Sun game.
Wow. So they'll find a hotel somewhere, put you up overnight, and then and try and make it the rest of the way tomorrow morning.
That's my understanding. We're staying in Albany, Georgia, which is about 3 hours south. And I'll do the show from the hotel and get in the car, and we'll go.
Yeah. Wow. That is crazy stuff. David Moulton with us here. All right. So you were in Kansas City for that deal against the Texans. A lot of chatter about about the calls that were made on behalf of Patrick Mahomes, the roughing call against Will Anderson, and then of course the slide where the two Houston Texan players lit up each other. I mean, the penalty should have been against Kansas City for those two guys hitting each other, I guess. But it didn't sound like anybody in the booth was really happy with that, including your rules expert. Everybody thought that those were ridiculous calls, and they were game-changing calls.
Well, I don't know if people fully understand the significance of Russell York, who's probably the least heralded of the network rules guys, because this is his first year. He doesn't go on camera very often. All right. He, however, was regarded within league circles as knowing the rule book and knowing replay the best of anyone. He's who John Perry recommended when he was leaving ABC to go work for the Bills. And so when Russell York disagrees with the call on the field, or now it turns out disagrees with the league office, who 2 days later comes out and says, no, man, we got everything right, because that's their role in this, to always say they get everything right. All right, it's pretty significant to us in the booth, because, you know, he did say on the overturned, which it wasn't, it wouldn't be because there was a grazing of Will Anderson's face mask to Mahomes' face mask, and he said, I'm just telling you, technically, if there's any contact at all, including a grazing, they are not going to overturn the call. He totally disagreed.
Would it have been forcible? I thought it had to be. I thought it had to be forcible.
But he just said, listen, I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you how it goes. If there's any contact, it's not going to be overturned. He said the second one, the reason he didn't like it, first off, he didn't think there was contact to the head, and secondly, he felt that Mahomes slid late. If you look closely, both defensive players are on their way down right as Mahomes begins his slide. I mean, I wish some of these officials had played. I mean, I'm glad, like the umpire in the Super Bowl played for the Rams 25 years ago. I think that's good. I think you have an understanding that these players are not video games, that gravity takes over once you head in a certain direction.
Yeah. Well, and not only that, they didn't hit him. I mean, they hit each other. They didn't hit him. And, there's that part of it. And I'll give the on-field officials a moment here because it looks so bad when it happens. It happens so fast. It's bang, bang. It's very violent. But they've got this expedited review thing, and it would seem to be we all knew at the first replay, literally 10 seconds after the play happened, we knew immediately, oh, wait a minute, there was no contact there. Pick that flag up. And it would be that quick for somebody upstairs to say, no, that's not it. Pick that up. And it was critical time in the game. They go on to score a touchdown, win the game.
There's no doubt it was. And the Chiefs weren't getting much done except for 3 pass plays to Kelsey. I will say, Mahomes' last touchdown to Kelsey being dragged down by the
amazing.
Almost completely off the ground as he's letting that pass go, and he still has the wherewithal to be looking the linebacker off in a certain direction so that Kelsey can peel behind him into the end zone and then throws it where he's not looking. I mean, that's ridiculous. It's so good. I mean, it really is. I mean, I get it. Listen, do I think the Chiefs get calls? Hell yeah, I do. I think, by the way, this is Andy Reid a la Don Shula back in the day. Shula and the Dolphins always got calls. I think Andy Reid's replaced Shula, all right, in terms of – I've had NFL officials tell me that Andy Reid kind of is intimidating to us and has a way with us. So I think part of it's Reid coaching the Chiefs, and the other part of it is Mahomes is the Michael Jordan of the sport. I mean, at times MJ got calls. Mahomes is going to get calls.
Well, and you didn't even have to leave the sport to say that. These are the Brady rules. Really, I mean, it was Brady that got those calls, all the time as well. Now, I'm not a Mahomes hater. I'm not one of these people that just, hate on a guy. But I will say this. That little stunt he pulled on the sideline when he slows down just before he goes out of bounds and kind of baits them, and then he gets breathed on and he goes flying like he got shot from the crowd, that crap doesn't fly with me. I mean, that to me is BS. And I don't know, they'll never have a flopping call, in the NFL. But that little move, that little maneuver that he makes when he slows down to take a little shot along the sidelines is no bueno when it comes to me.
Well, I will say Josh Allen's a bigger flopper than Mahomes. These are the 2 biggest flopping quarterbacks and biggest flopping teams beating in the AFC Championship game. You could go back and take a look at the Bills-Ravens game. Every time there's a scrum, okay, and if a Raven guy pushed a Bills guy fell to the ground like a European soccer player.
Yeah.
I mean, these teams are good at it because they know it will draw more calls than you think. Now, what you hope for in the playoffs is they let a little bit of that stuff go. And I thought they did, by the way, in the Ravens-Bills game. I thought that crew did a really good job. There was a lot of pushing and shoving. At times it even got chippy, and they didn't throw a single flag. They just separated it and sent everybody back. I thought it was really good officiating.
We heard David Moulton with us, Miller and Moulton, also working alongside Troy Aikman in the Monday Night Football booth. They had the playoff game on this past Saturday. We heard Troy Aikman just disgusted sounding on one of the calls. I think it was, it might have been the slide or it might have been the Will Anderson hit on a quarterback, but he just on air just blurted out, "Oh, come on." And this is a guy that's career was cut short by repeated shots to the head. And he thought it was ridiculous to call. I'm curious, pull back the curtain for us. What is it? Is there any further conversation that takes place when they go to commercial break? I mean, does Troy get really livid, or does he just let it go after he made that comment on air?
No, for the most part, he lets it go. But I appreciate the fact that, like, this is my 7th year with Troy. I don't think Troy would have said it 7 years ago. And I'm not saying that I've had anything to do with it, because I don't think I have. But I think Troy's letting it rip a little bit more now. You know, he's late 50s. He's 23 years as a broadcaster. You know, he's not going to be the general manager of a football team. And I think Troy's comfortable enough now to just let it rip. And, you know, Troy gets that, you know, the protecting the quarterbacks, but he also thinks they got to be a football player. I mean, if you remember, there was a Raiders-Chiefs game from a couple years ago on a Monday night where I think Max Crosby got called for roughing Mahomes, and Aikman said, well, we might as well just put him in skirts. Okay? So, I mean, Troy's been pretty opinionated about this for a while. I can't believe, by the way, you have referenced us doing the Texans-Chiefs game 3 times, and you, Mr. Ratings, has yet to bring up that was the highest-rated game on ESPN ever. Ever. They've been doing football since 1987, and that was the most people have ever had watch a game. I thought you'd lead with it because nobody loves the ratings more than you.
Well, I was actually holding my ratings conversation for the fact that the Bills and the Ravens had an incredible 42 million people watching that game, and yet it was down 16% from Chiefs and Bills last year when 50 million people watched that game. So that, you know, they kind of buried a lead there, you know, down 16%, but still 42 million people. But that's the Chiefs now, right? The Chiefs are the new Cowboys. You know, they carry a number.
Yes, they do, and, you know, this is the Taylor Swift-Kelsey effect as well. I mean, remember, it was at its height during the playoff run last year. So, you know, it's calmed down a touch this year. But, oh, yeah, do not think that she and they have not helped move the needle for the league.
Then why are so many people then talking about Chiefs fatigue? And it seems like nobody really, you know, this would be history. This would be the Chiefs going for 3 Super Bowls. Now, I don't like the conversation. Oh, the first one at 3 championships. I don't like that because the Packers won 3 straight, and it was the first 2 Super Bowls, but they had won the year before in '65 as well against the Browns, and then they won the first 2 Super Bowls. So the Packers won 3 straight championships in the NFL. But having said that, this would be 3 straight Super Bowls, and it seems to be nobody wants to see it. I'm seeing so many people say, you know, if it's Chiefs, I'm not watching. I'm not watching Chiefs Eagles again. I'm just not into it. Blah, 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 blah. I guess people really don't want to see this potential shot at history for the first time in 59 years of the Super Bowl.
I think a little bit of it is jealousy. You know, it's not their team. I think a little bit of it is, of all the franchises and teams to be the first one to do this, they maybe don't think that this is, you know, the team and the group worthy of doing it, that it should have been a Cowboys grouping, a Niners grouping, a Steelers grouping. You know, I don't know. But there's a little, but this is not like Patriots fatigue. You know, this is only, 7 straight AFC championship games. Patriots had 8. You know, the Patriots run lasted 20 years. You know, this Chiefs run has lasted, 7? I mean, the fatigue is not where it was a few years ago with the Patriots.
And this team to me is reminiscent of the '73 Dolphins. They just win. You know what I mean? They don't look like they do. They don't do anything poorly. They're good at everything, but they're not great at anything. They're not great at receiver. They got a quarterback that makes plays, but he have a great year. It feels like the '73 Dolphins, who nobody wanted to say that's the greatest team in the history of football just because they won 17-0. but there was so little flash and so on. And it's amazing for a team like this that has the, as you mentioned, the Taylor Swift effect, and now apparently Caitlin Clark as well. It just doesn't really feel like you're looking at Troy's Cowboys or Joe Montana's 49ers. It just doesn't feel that way, but maybe that's just me.
No, I think it's because they played so many close games this year, and we saw many of them in which, Denver should have beat them, and, they got a favorable, call to beat this team, and then, the Ravens receiver was 3 inches out of bounds. I mean, they've lived dangerously this year for a 15-win team, and I just think people don't regard this team as an all-time great, even though they're 2 wins away from accomplishing what no other franchise has ever done.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of broadcasters, I tried. I gave him the shot. I gave him all year long. Tom Brady, it's just, the difference between Troy and even Romo and Olsen and Tom Brady is light years. He's making more than double of any of these other guys. He's making more than double than Troy and Romo. And it's the delivery, it's the voice, and don't tell me that as he gets further and further from the game, the lack of being able to have meetings and talk to coaches and everything else. And it does feel a little bit swarmy when he's doing a Lions game, and the Lions have 2 coordinators that are going to go off and be head coaches somewhere, and he's involved in the coaching search for the Raiders as a part owner. It just doesn't feel right, And I saw some commentary earlier in the week that said, it was from a Fox executive that said, how is this a conflict of interest? Joe Davis did the Dodgers World Series, and he's the Dodgers broadcaster. Joe Davis isn't making any decisions for the Dodgers. He called a game, and they talked about other guys like that, that do games of teams that they played for and things like that. Totally a different scenario, but Brady seems to be hell-bent on coming back and doing it, and it's just not good, man. It's just not good. And he's going to do the Super Bowl. It's hard on the ears.
Well, I don't know how much I want to give here because I'm tied to Aikman, and I'll say this: there are a lot of people that do not like his voice, and that's something that either you have or you don't. I definitely think he's held back by being the owner of the Raiders, things that he can say, things that he can't say. I would like to think, Tom, if he's got it in him, the Super Bowl would be the place, because who knows more about the Super Bowl than Brady? He played in 10 of them.
Yeah, but he doesn't say anything.
At the half, losing at the half. No, he's been a favorite. He's been a 2-touchdown favorite and a 2-touchdown dog. I would like to think whatever he's got in him, we get in 3 weeks, because he should be able to talk about this game unlike anyone else ever.
But his job as that would be great leading it. You know what that is, David? You just described the pregame. You just described that's where he belongs, in the studio. That's not during the game. During the game, he's got to just tell us about the plays.
No, not true. During the game, Burkhardt can say, Tom, everybody tries to say this once they kick off, the Super Bowl is just in the game. Is it? Brady's got to have stories. Brady's got to have, halftime takes a half an hour. He's got to have a story or two about, taking a nap, having a smoke, whatever it was at halftime, because it's so long as opposed to the 13 minutes.
That's what I say.
Used to.
Put him on a halftime show then,
Well, but I would think he could do it during the game. He could talk about, let me tell you, when you're down at this point of the game, you start to feel it. From the moment you kick off and this, that, and the other thing. But if you look up at this point of the game and you're losing, he goes, it feels very differently in this game than it does on a normal Sunday. Stuff like that. If there's stuff to add in a Super Bowl, I would like to think he's got more to add than anyone.
All right, I had my Philadelphia guy come on and talk about the Eagles and the Commanders. So I'm going to ask you to make the pick now for the Bills and the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, 4-4 head-to-head, but Mahomes 3-0 in the playoffs, including last year. He beats them every year in the playoffs. It's in Kansas City. Weather shouldn't be much of a factor from what I'm seeing. Cloudy and 38 degrees, something like that. It is the night game, however. So tell me, does this Chief thing just keep on keeping on, or do the Bills end the run and go to a Super Bowl?
The reason why I like the Chiefs is that the Bills' defense has lived and died with the turnover all year. They've been bend but don't break and then force 2-3 turnovers a game. That's what they did against the Ravens. Also, I don't like the Bills' weaponry. I don't think they will run the ball against Kansas City the way they ran the ball against Baltimore. So to me, Josh Allen is going to have to beat this Chiefs defense throwing the ball, and he's got the worst weapons to throw to during this 5-year run, in my opinion. I think this is a very low-scoring game. I think the only way the Bills win is if they're +2 in turnovers, and the Chiefs just don't make mistakes in big games. And so because of it, I think the Bills have their heart broken again, and I'll go 2013 Kansas City.
All right, I lied. One other thing. Does unanimous matter? I mean, does it matter that Ichiro was not unanimous? And if it does matter, should whoever it is left them off the ballot, should that guy be held accountable? Should all the ballots be public?
Yes, they should. Okay, because here's the other thing. I mean, Tom, whoever didn't vote for Ichiro, just like whoever didn't vote for Jeter, they wanted to make a statement. Well, then make the damn statement. Don't hide in anonymity. No. You did this for a reason. You knew, by the way, when you weren't putting them on your ballot, that there's a pretty good chance you were the only one. Why? No, make your case. I mean, I'll give Fred Hickman, the late Fred Hickman, all the credit in the world. Shaq won the MVP in 01 or something, 2000. And he was unanimous except for one vote. And Shaq goes, who the hell didn't vote for me? And Fred Hickman said, I didn't. I voted for Iverson. And he explained why. I have a lot of respect for that.
Yeah. Well, or it happened because he's an idiot. You know the story behind the guy that didn't vote for Jeter, right? Nick Canepa, whatever his name is, they're out of the San Diego Union. He said he sent his ballots in blank in 2020 and 2021, and in 2021 he said that Jeter's not eligible yet for the Hall of Fame. He'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer, but he wasn't on the ballot. And the idiot, the Jeter went in the year before. He wasn't on the 2021 ballot because he was on a 2020 ballot. And Canepa sent his thing in without even looking at it and didn't vote for Jeter. And that's how Jeter ended up not being a unanimous pick, because the guy was a knucklehead.
Another reason why I want to know is because are you making a statement or are you incompetent? Because quite frankly, if you can't vote for Jeter or you can't vote for Ichiro, then you shouldn't have a ballot.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, you're an idiot. No. We can do better. I can find two people better than you. I know I can.
Yeah, that was a total incompetence, and so and I do think it means something because Mariano Rivera forever is introduced as the only unanimous selection to the Baseball Hall of Fame, and it's just the way it is. All right, appreciate you. Stay safe. I'm glad you didn't get in an accident. I heard the emergency vehicles going by you there. I don't know if you're sitting on the side of the road or if you're driving, but I hope they weren't coming after you, and be safe out there.
It was a fire truck, and the funny thing is I passed it, okay?
Oh.
So I'll make it good. As far as I'm concerned, I feel like we can finish this trip today, but apparently they say we can't, so okay.
Well, what's stopping you from going on and getting your hotel? Hey,
the problem is, Tom, they canceled all the hotel rooms.
Oh.
I mean, that's the problem. Now if I make the whole trip, I'll show up. They'll be like, well, you got to pay.
Yeah, I hear you. No, we don't. Yeah, no, you don't want to do that. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you as always. Be safe, and we'll talk next week.
All right. Be good, everyone.
There you go, David Moulton. You want to react to that conversation? We'll get the phone lines open now. I don't think we've taken a call yet in the show, but we will come back. LSU Lynch is up. Maize and Blue Frank is up, who hooked me up with some really sweet gloves, man. And we'll do that next right here on the Thom Abraham Show.
By now, you know about Eagle Masonry and Insulation, and maybe you know that Eagle also does landscaping and dirt work. But how about after paint work? Shower doors, shelving, and mirrors, all taken care of by Eagle, the same Eagle that takes care of all your masonry, insulation, and landscaping needs. Eagle brings the same level of expertise to all these disciplines, and they're ready to provide you with a free quote. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money. Football season and Bad Daddy's Burger Bar. The perfect combination of good times and great food. This season, score big with one of our chef-inspired expressions of pure burger amazingness. Our delicious burgers are made with premium Angus beef, and you can pair it with one of our signature cocktails or a cold craft beer from our huge selection. Bad Daddy's Burger Bar on the Parkway in Huntsville and our new location at Cliff Farm, Highway 72 in Madison.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner at University Kia, proudly saying Roll Tide and War Eagle. Stop into University Kia today and shop one of the area's largest selection of new Kias, including Fortes, Seltos, Telluride, and Popular Carnival, and fully electric EV6. View all the great specials at universitykia.com and get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia you really want, because we want to see you in a University Kia.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Hey there, Bob Baumhauer again. Baumhauer's Victory Grill is extremely proud to have recently received numerous awards, including being voted Best Wings in the state of Alabama. Other awards received include Best All-Around Restaurant, Best American Restaurant, #1 Sports Bar, Best Chef, Best Wings, and Best Dining Experience. Thank you for 43 legendary years, and we look forward to providing you an award-winning dining experience at every visit. Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Legendary fun, legendary food.
This segment of Thom Abraham Show is brought to you by Owen Home Appliance Center. If you're getting tired of that washing machine just walking out the door every time it goes into a spin cycle, maybe it's time for a new washer and dryer. And they've got them at Owen Home Appliance Center. They got Maytag and GE and Whirlpool and Electrolux and Speed Queen. And hey, check out the new 2-in-1 GE profile washer there that dries and washes and dries the load all in one machine. I mean, that's really, really cool as well. The interactive location is in Lacey Springs, just 8 miles south of the Tennessee River, 231. You can try the washers and dryers before you buy them, and they deliver all over the region, including those of you listening in Winchester. They'll deliver to Winchester as well. It's Owen Home Appliance Center. Quality products, quality prices, quality service. It's in the name of Owen Home Appliance Center. The unknown texter got loose, and he said that my son and his wife live in Boston, and they went to the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown on Monday, and they loved it, and they only had one day to be there, spent the whole day there. Let me tell you something. I've been to Cooperstown maybe 3 times, I guess. I used to do a 4th of July show, a 4th of July weekend show from the front steps of the Baseball Hall of Fame with noted baseball author Kurt Smith. We did that for 2 or 3 years, and it was glorious. I mean, Cooperstown, we used to say, Cooperstown, New York, if it didn't exist, you'd have to invent it. It was America's Valhalla. It's incredible. They got the lake there. We'd stay in a little bed and breakfast right in downtown Cooperstown. I'm telling you, Joe, it is a bucket list thing to do, is the trip to Cooperstown.
I've never been able to.
You got to do it. Put it on the bucket list. You're a young man. But wait till your boy, your kids are old enough to make the run. But just staying there is phenomenal. Your family will love just being in Cooperstown for a few days. But that day that you spend going through the museum it's spectacular. I mean, the things you see, it's unbelievable. Not me just talking about it. Now I want to go back there. I haven't been there in 20 years, and now I want to go back.
I always have this idea for my next trip to New York. I want to go to make it like a week-long trip, and I want to spend a little bit of time in New York City and then drive to Cooperstown and Lake Placid in some order of fashion, and going and doing all three of those all in the same trip.
Yeah, Lake Placid is spectacular as well. It is beautiful. And if you're going to be up there, I mean, if you get a chance to bop around a little bit, Lake Champlain on the Vermont-New York border is tremendous as well. I have an assignment there coming up in September. I got coverage of one of the events that I'll be covering for FS1 for Bassmaster, and it'll be at Lake Champlain out of Plattsburgh, and this middle of September. I'll be up there for a week. That whole area is absolutely incredible. It's just the Adirondacks. Cooperstown. I mean, you know what? Maybe I'll get to Cooperstown while I'm up there. I won't be that far from Cooperstown. Maybe I'll get back down there to the Hall of Fame.
My first job is to get my wife to stop having kids, and then we can start trying to save up for actual vacations.
I thought you took care of that. Well, you haven't taken care of it yet, but you're going to take care of it.
Yeah, we're gonna take care of that.
You're going to deal with it.
After the next one's born, we're taking care of that.
All right, let's get to the lines. In order of the longest wait, LSU Lynch is up first. LSU Lynch, welcome to the show. How are you?
Son, it's a great show. I'm still watching the live beach camera with the snow and the snow down in New Orleans. Oh Lord, it's
unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I mean, they had 10 inches of snow like downstate, down by the Gulf of America.
Yeah, Son, stop it, man. Look at it. Stop it.
That's what he called it.
When you say that.
That's what he said. That's what it is. I want
to say something about the Joe Hunk, and I want to say this quickly. There was no better person to call the first ever Havoc live. You hear me?
Thank you, sir.
You talking about the skills competition?
No. Last Friday night. First time ever, the Havoc went live on 48.3.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah. Let's back up, Yankee. You hear me?
Well, I didn't know what you were talking about. Because every game that he does is a good game. But they had their first one on 48-3 or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought he did a great job. So you did.
Joe, did you know that it was on 48-3 as well when you were doing it? So you didn't just do it straight radio.
Yeah.
You did it like TV. Okay.
Well, no, I mean I did it straight radio because it was also being simulcast on radio. But I was aware that it was on 48.3. Yes.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I mean we had him on. He was on the radio and the TV at the same time. Now look here, we're gonna go number 3 quick. You know, my nephew is still the official starting kicker at Auburn. Their first game, Tom, is Baylor. You hear me?
Yeah.
That should be a good game. I'm going to take Auburn.
Yeah, I like Auburn in the game. Do you think that he'll be the kicker for that game? Because I don't know if he will be the kicker for the game. Yeah.
He's starting kicker. He's starting kicker right now.
Yeah, right now.
You know.
The game's not for 10 months, though, so maybe it might not be that.
I mean, look here. From now, see, this is what I hate about this time of the season, okay? It sucks because as football fans, all we do is get to talk the what if, okay?
Yeah.
Because I'm going to tell you what, it doesn't matter right now. It doesn't matter until August. But what matters right now is the mullet man. Where you at, brother? Where you at? Because
he's on hold.
Stuck.
That's where he is. Yeah, appreciate you. He's actually on hold. We'll get to him in a minute. Maize and Blue Frank, who dropped me off some sweet gloves, man, the other day at Baumhauer's. Frank, welcome in. How are you?
Not bad. How are you doing today?
I am tremendous. My hands are warm, thanks to you.
Well, last Monday you said that your hands were cold at the place, and I figured I got an extra pair of gloves, and they make you look snappy, too, don't they?
Yeah. No, those were nice. Those gloves.
Michigan, we Michigan people are giving people. I saw an article this weekend that said that all the stuff that they had to put up with after Michigan beat them brought the Day family, his wife was quoted as saying that it brought them closer together. So, I'm sure that it wasn't stuff from Michigan people that brought them closer together. It was the Ohio State guys that were giving them grief.
Yeah.
So we're happy to help.
I hear you. How does Michigan fan feel about Ohio State winning a national championship when you got the win over them? You always have that win over them. You always be the one that beat them right before they went on a 4-game run to the championship.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Notre Dame versus Ohio State to a Michigan person is like the Taliban playing ISIS, and so it's six of one, half dozen of the other. Now, at least there's two good things that come out of Ohio State winning. Now we can say, yeah, but you didn't beat Michigan. And then next fall, when we beat them, we can say we just beat the reigning national champions. So it'll all work out. You got to be optimistic.
And you got them in your building next year too.
We do, and we've got, I think, a better complement of players. I'm hopeful. You never know with new kids. You just never know.
Yeah, you don't know. You don't know. You could have a quarterback. We'll see whether or not he's the guy that emerges. I would think that he'll be playing as a freshman next year. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
We'll wait and see. We'll hope for the best. And the one thing I don't understand, maybe you can explain this to me because you're so much more knowledgeable in this. How did Alabama at, 9-4? Get ranked as high as 11 in, I think, the ESPN poll or some place. Other places they're 17, and Michigan at 8-5, but beating them with nobody. I mean, nobody was playing for Michigan hardly.
Are you talking about the preseason? Are you talking about preseason for next year?
No, the ones that came out after Ohio State won. Alabama ended up in the top 20 easy, and Michigan didn't even get in the top 25. I find that odd.
Well, you lost 5 games, I mean, there's that, right?
But Alabama lost 4. I mean, it's only one difference. I mean,
yeah, but Alabama had wins over top-ranked teams. They had wins over Georgia and wins over Carolina and wins over. They were 17th in both polls. I don't know what poll they were. Maybe the ESPN poll, but 17 isn't exactly. Alabama doesn't even want to talk about 17. I mean, 17's embarrassing, for Alabama.
Well, I understand, but Michigan did beat Ohio State, which ended up number 1.
That's true.
And they beat Alabama. So
That's true.
It's just kind of odd. Well, hey, I'll let you go, but enjoy the gloves. And, if you need a hat or something, I can probably come up with a nice-looking one for that.
I'm good. I don't need any more maize and blue stuff. Thankfully,
Good one, Thom.
I appreciate you. Thankfully, maize and blue is also the colors of buckhorn, and it's also the colors of Bassmaster. So I can use that stuff, in those things. By the way, Michigan was also ranked below Navy, LSU, and Louisville. I would take a little bit of umbrage to that. Listen, Michigan beats Colorado. They were behind Memphis, UNLV, Missouri. I'd have put Michigan in the top 25. I'd have had them somewhere near the bottom of the top 25. But they did, they did lose a bunch of games this year. All right, speaking of Michigan, Wolverine Dan is next. Wolverine Dan, welcome to the show. How are you?
LSU Litch, this is the Money Man. Hey! Okay, hopefully you'll understand that. So, I got to do the New Orleans. That's,
right.
Talk to your kid. Yeah, you got that. I like that Michigan guy called before me. He's right. Yeah, how you freaking guys get in the top 10 when we whooped your butt?
17, not top 10.
Back
17
back in 1 year.
Well, they don't count last year. 17 in 1 year is where they were.
Yeah, just like that game doesn't count. I hear you guys say that too, and you lose. Well, it didn't mean nothing. Okay, whatever. Okay, it is what it is. I got my victories. I'm happy. I'm the king of the roost in this state.
Yeah.
It is what
maybe
it is.
Next year you'll be back. Maybe next year you'll be back in the top 25 even.
No, I hope I play you again next year. That's what I want. It's a guaranteed win. Anyway, with that said, here's the deal when it comes to Mahomie, all right? Bottom line, Mahomie is – thank you. Mahomie is just he's a pretty boy is all he is, okay? First off, the Chelsea thing or Kelsey thing, I don't want him to catch a ball or get anywhere near a ball because, they go to the sidelines when Kelsey picks his nose or scratches his ass. they're going to put a picture on him, our camera, and then go immediately to Taylor Swift in the upper suites with the Indiana basket chick, whatever her name is, all right? So that's what's going to happen with that. So I don't want to see Mahomes at all. I want
well, then you better not watch the game then because
I'm going to see Taylor Swift. I don't want to see Taylor Swift. It's a freaking football game. And you know what? The big draw would have been the Lions. I'm going to tell you why. Because it's America's team right now. They want it. Look at all these away games, all these Lions fans, right? Yeah. And here's the other thing. Who's the only team in the last year to beat them twice? Kansas City, and that is us. Us.
Yeah,
okay?
I wouldn't say they're America's team though, by now, because they didn't really drive the numbers.
Thomas, you know as well as I do, it'd have been a bigger draw. The numbers would have been bigger. They don't want to see the Jalen Hurts, which I do. That's one Bama player I like. I like Jalen Hurts because he's a good guy, and he's.
But Jahmyr Gibbs, what about Jameson Williams? What about Jameson Williams and Jahmyr Gibbs? You like those guys? What about Branch? You like him?
Without saying. That's without saying. But Jalen Hurts, kept his mouth shut, went about his business even when the pineapple chucker got in there and threw the pineapple around. And he had to end up by sitting the bench, which I'm glad he went to Oklahoma. So bottom line is, Tom, it's a bigger picture, okay? Paint the picture in the maize and blue colors, brother, because it is what it is. And you know the pockets are deep. It's about to go down again.
The Commanders-Lions game had 33 million people that watched it. It was a 10% drop from last year, same time slot, when it was the Packers and the 49ers. I mean, more people want to watch the Packers than the Lions, obviously. So it was the Packers and the 49ers last year, and that had 4 million more people watching that than watched the Commanders and the Lions. And the Commanders and the Lions, of the four games this past weekend, that one was it was almost the lowest. Actually, Texans Chiefs had 32 million, so it was actually had 2 million more than Texans Chiefs, although the Chiefs win did peak at 38 million, as well. So, but yeah, but it didn't get what the Sunday games got.
But you know what? I still think it would have been bigger numbers, and it doesn't really matter. Okay, all right. Mm-hmm. All I care about is at the end of the year, the big board. If you know what I'm not going to go any further, but it's called the big board. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Anyway, when I want to hit that sucker. But anyway, in my closing, LSU Lynch, listen to me now, okay? Get that restaurant going, bro. I want a po' boy. So
yeah, you made a good po' boy.
You need to find out what's going on with that restaurant because I need a po' boy like real bad, and I live about a mile away.
They make a good po' boy over there. What was the name of that joint? What was it? It was the heck was the name of that joint? Joe, what was the name of that joint? What was the name of that joint before? Gosh, I can't believe I forget the name of that joint.
The Po' Boy Factory.
The Po' Boy Factory. That's right. The Po' Boy Factory. You know what
that thing, that food item he's talking about is named that.
But it was the factory part I couldn't remember. The Po' Boy Factory. Yeah, got to get the Po' Boy Factory. We need to get the Po' Boy Factory on Big Zone deals. That's what we need to do. Get it on Big Zone deals.
I'm in.
A little advertising.
Make it happen. Come on. Next time you call, I want a report, mullet head.
It's a good job by you. Thanks for the call, over, Dad. That's what I need to do. I need to get the Po' Boy Factory on Big Zone deals, Lynch. Somebody name it a decision maker over there. We'll tell everybody about it when they get that thing opened up again. All right, before we go to break, some love for the broadcast last night of the game between the Hazel Green Girls and Spring Garden. From the text window, watched the basketball game last night that y'all did on the NFHS broadcast. Steve's audio was running with the NFHS broadcast. I enjoy it. He does a good job calling basketball. Good broadcast. Well, thank you. Unsigned. Oh, it's a good job by Steve. Steve does a nice job on basketball. I did that Alabama basketball with him, Alabama-Memphis game with him, and it was the first time he and I had worked a basketball game together, I believe, in the 20 years I've known Steve. And yeah, he does a nice job. He does a good job. All right, we're going to break. When we come back, phone lines remain open. Plus, I want to circle back to what Jim Phillips said about the possibility of the ACC giving the ACC champion an automatic bye, setting them aside and having the second and third team in the ACC play in the ACC championship. Or he said maybe they'll have a 14 playoff of their own on the last weekend. That intrigues me. I have an idea for it, and I have had it for 3 years. I've been talking about this in the SEC. I've even fleshed it out with divisions. I'll explain it to you next, right here on the Thom Abraham Show.
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show with Joe Hunk on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Howdy, folks. Bob Baumhauer here. Whether you're planning a tailgate party at the game, cheering for your favorite teams at home, or at your local Baumhauers with your family and friends, we're here to make your football party legendary with our party-ready tray selections. From our always fresh buttermilk fried chicken tenders to the homemade Nana's chicken salad, and of course, our fresh, never frozen, award-winning buffalo-style chicken wings. Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Legendary fun, legendary food.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold-certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Eagle Masonry and Insulation. It's right there in the name. Eagle is your one-stop shop for block, stone, or brickwork, monument signs, and outdoor kitchens and fireplaces. Eagle also offers the finest craftsmanship and insulation, including fiberglass or spray foam insulation, and of course, insulation removal. Philip Love and his team have years of experience, bringing the region the best in masonry and insulation services. For more information and a quote, visit insulatewitheagle.com or call 256-755-1556. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
The state's largest orthopedic group is growing to meet the needs of the patients in our community. The Orthopedic Center has long been the most trusted name in orthopedics in North Alabama. So as our area continues on the fast track, so does the need for premier orthopedic care anywhere and anytime you need it. TOC is proud to announce the opening of our new locations in Albertville and Hampton Cove, along with the grand opening of our newest office in Decatur. These clinics will offer the same high-quality orthopedic care you have come to associate with TOC, with the convenience of being closer to home. As a patient, your time is your most precious asset, and we recognize that at TOC. That's why we are also proud to announce the opening of our urgent ortho clinics to handle those bumps and bruises that need prompt attention. These clinics are available to care for acute orthopedic injuries with no appointment necessary. With 38 physicians, 20 centers of excellence, and now more than a dozen locations to serve you, TOC will continue to be the name you turn to for the best orthopedic care at the right time. Visit our website at visittoc.com for more information. TOC, helping you live a better life.
This will turn journalism on its ear.
Watch our stream on WZZN TV on Twitch and YouTube.
But you are the greatest hero in American history.
We are 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Two-minute warning is brought to you by Minuteman Press. For all your printing and promotional needs, it's Minuteman Press. We use them at the radio station. I use them at my church. They just do a tremendous job. It's Minuteman Press. All right. Based on what Jim Phillips said about what the ACC could consider doing. Now, the ACC's issue is different than the SEC's issue. Okay, the ACC's issue is that they want to make sure that they didn't want to have a scenario where their regular season champ was going to get left out of the playoff. My opinion, if you're worried about your regular season champ getting left out of the playoff, you got a problem with your conference. Okay, first of all, you got a problem with your conference. All right, if it's that close that you got to sweat out your regular season champ, which narrowly lost in your conference championship game, then you got bigger problems, all right, than this. But he talked about the possibility of them doing a Final Four on the last weekend of the regular season. And I have been talking about this kind of a scenario in the SEC for a while, but I've been talking about it a little bit differently. I would love to see this scenario. Just hear me out. I'm an idea guy. I just throw this stuff out there. Because when this happens in 3 years or something, I want, or in 5 years or after I'm dead, whatever. I don't plan on dying in 5 years. I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying? When it happens, I want you to remember back. Hey, I remember when the big dog said that same thing. What I would love to see happening, and I'm going to use the current configuration of the SEC as a 16-team conference. Someday, I think it'll be a 20-team conference. I think the Big Ten will be 20. I think the SEC will be 20. And when that happens, we'll have 5-team divisions. But what I would love to see right now is I would love to see the SEC split into 4-team divisions. And you would play your division opponents, so that's 3 games. Plus, you would play a locked-in crossover game with some other team from some other division that you have some history with. And then you would rotate your other 4 games against another division each year. You'd play some other group of teams each year. And you would see everybody every 3 years. You'd play everybody in the conference. Okay? So that's 8 regular season games. The 9th regular would be the Final Four, which would be on the last weekend of the season. You would take the 4 division winners, and they would play off, 1 seed versus 4 seed, 2 versus 3, to see who goes to the SEC championship game. So now you got 14. You got a 14 playoff in the SEC. Okay, not adding any games. This is the 12th game, the 12th weekend. So we're not adding any games. Don't worry. Those of you that are worried about the kids playing too many games, we're not adding any games. And then the other 12 teams that didn't make the 14 playoff in the league, they would square off in 6 games, which would be their 9th conference game, and we would get rid of 1 cupcake game because we don't need to see these SEC teams playing 2 or 3 cupcake games. So this is what I came up with for divisions. This is what I think it would be. You'd have Alabama, Auburn, Ole Miss, and State. That's a division. State of Alabama, State of Mississippi. That's a division. Arkansas, Texas, Texas A&M, Oklahoma. Division. Florida, Georgia, LSU, South Carolina. Division. Kentucky, Missouri, Tennessee, Vandy. Division. Okay? So we'll use Alabama as an example. They would play Auburn, Ole Miss, and State every year. And then their crossover locked in would be, let's say, Tennessee. So Alabama will play Tennessee every year. That's 4 games. And then 1 year they play Florida, Georgia, LSU, South Carolina. Another year they play Arkansas, Texas, Texas A&M, Oklahoma. You see what I'm saying? They're playing divisions. And there's your 8-game conference schedule. And then the 4 teams that won those divisions. All right, so this year it would have been Alabama, Texas, Georgia, and Tennessee. They would play off against each other in week 12, not a 13th week, week 12. And that's how you would determine who goes to the SEC championship game. And for the SEC, I think the Big Ten should do the same thing. Big Ten's going to get to 20. They're at 18 right now. Big Ten does the same thing. And the 2 finalists from the SEC finalists and the Big Ten finalists, those 2 teams that go to the final are automatically in the playoff. They get in the playoff, but the winner gets a bye. If you win the SEC championship, you get a bye. If you win the Big Ten championship, you get a bye. Because when we get to 14 teams in the playoff, you're going to have 2 byes. The winner of the Big Ten and the SEC get a bye. And everybody else is seeded based on their final rankings. Who's not down for this? I mean, come on, Joe. Think about it. How cool would it be after week 11? So the rivalry games, Egg Bowl, Iron Bowl, all those things, week 11. And then week 12 is the 4 division winners playing each other.
I'm all for it as long as the semifinals doesn't also have to happen in Atlanta and we try to make this a bowl game. No.
Yeah, home and home. At home.
You know, that's all for it. Again, I'm all for better football games than me sitting here every weekend like, yes, college football's here, but no, we're playing this god-awful team that we're going to win by 60 on. Okay, cool.
Right.
So give me look, anything gives me better. I don't care if every single week we had a coin toss to figure out 2 teams that played each other. I don't care as long as they're good games.
Yeah, that's the way I would do it. Is that it would be at the home. Obviously, the home team would be the higher seeded or higher ranked team that is in that 14 playoff. But that's how we would get a 12th game. That's kind of what the ACC's talking about. They're not talking about doing it in divisions. They just want to take the top 4 teams and put them in a 14 playoff. I don't hate it. Now, what I hate, stupid idea, is your regular season champ. You set them aside, and then the other 2 teams play for what? You're not playing for the conference championship if you don't have the team that won the regular season in the conference championship game. Doesn't make any sense. All right, you're welcome, college football. Greg Sankey, you're welcome for that idea. All right, that's going to do it for us. Coming up next, it's the Paul Finebaum Show. For Joe, I'm Tom. Oh, I'm sorry. Feinbaum. That's what Ben Troop called him, Finebaum. He said, I don't know how to say it. Have a great day, everybody.